Namaste and welcome to Indic Academy to Srimati Saraswathi Ranganathan ji. Such a pleasure to engage with you and to know about your music interests, which cross all genres and include different vistas of music for yoga and for, I think you've worked with healing ragas, and of course bringing music to non-Indians and bringing non-Indians to music. That's a wonderful vision of yours.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here at the show, Aparna. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Could you start with, I think, with your upcoming tour of India, and is it part of your being nominated as an Artist of the Year for Chicago?
Yeah, I can start with a little bit of a background about myself and about the tour. Yeah, so my name is Saraswathi. I am based out of Chicago in the US, but currently I'm stationed in Lawrence, Kansas. That's where I'm speaking to you from. I'm a passionate practitioner of the Southern Indian acoustic instrument Veena, and I have been training from 6 years of age from my mother, from my grandmother, and also from Karnataka, Kalashree, EP, Alamelu. I am I have been in the US for the past couple of decades now. My somewhere 13 to 14 years ago, I was thinking about my own personal situation, and then that kind of influenced me to think about how do I bring people together, because my outlook about everything, my music and everything changed here. And I was like, okay, it's a wide open world. For the first time when I was doing MBA at Loyola University Chicago, I thought, I just have to take my Veena with me. And then I just played a solo piece there, and suddenly there were dancers from Hawaii that started to dance, and then there was a couple that started to slow dance. And I was like, suddenly, oh my God, so the Veena is actually a vehicle for bringing so many people together and connecting with them at the same time through just the simple ragas that I play, just the songs that I've learned. And so I was very inspired by that. That's how everything started. And then I was able to meet with musicians around here. And then pretty soon I had a band together, and now Surabhi Ensemble is touring all over the world. This is our third global peace tour. So my goal through my band is to get everyone to be culturally aware of not just our instrument Veena and Carnatic and the ragas, but also how can these ragas fundamentally blend with so many other musical genres so we can present a cohesive sound to our audience. And at the same time, all of our artists, we grow together, and we have known each other for so long that through our music and composition, we know each other, we get to know each other better, and that's how our performances get better, and we meld our cultures together better. And so that does not mean that we give up our roots. I'm still strongly very connected to my roots, and I'm very grateful for that, because that's how I've been able to come up like this. So likewise, we are similar minded musicians. And so my goal through all this is what I call less fear, less hate, more love, so we can all hashtag live as one family.
So,
So that's how
yeah, sorry, which are the musical forms that you think go well with Indian music? Are there some forms that are naturally, like jazz, for instance, with its manodharma aspects, very similar to our music? Are there forms which immediately click?
Yeah, you're right in the sense that because of musical forms, there is a natural connection, like you mentioned. So it's up to the artist really to kind of be open and be able to explore and understand what some of the possibilities are, what the differences are, and then celebrate those differences, and at the same time embrace what is common. So some of the genres that we will be presenting in India. So this is our third global peace tour. We will be connecting. We'll be going to Rajpipla in Gujarat, and then Bangalore, and then Mysore, and then Chennai and Pune. So
Wow.
some of the genres we'll be bringing. So the ragas, of course, Veena, and then we have the Spanish flamenco rhythm, music and dance, and then West African rhythm, and then we have Middle Eastern maqam music and dance, and we have Mexican folk art and dance. So all of this will come together for a for an eclectic presentation. It will be something very enjoyable for the audience to view. It's a visual treat and also for the ear. So I am hoping to inspire people there to see how our ragas can connect with so many different forms of music, and then at the same time that message of living as one family. So we do that not just through performances but also through a lot of social work. We take it to, so I worked with orphanages, immigrant centers, refugee centers, and taken it to economically challenged communities, and then children in art restricted neighborhoods, and then to different parks, universities and colleges, and also just kind of doing other community outreach activities. So nursing homes, working at hospitals for healing. So really exploring so many possibilities of ragas and the sounds of the veena and how we can collaborate with other cultures and connect to people like that.
Yeah. It sounds so lovely and so meaningful. What about the idea of rhythm? Rhythm is what like is so intrinsic to our
Yeah.
human body and to the environment and to nature and to everything that's natural. So, and
Yes.
I think, a lot of indigenous and traditional music forms,
Correct.
the rhythm is what, people don't have to understand. Yeah. It's just, they don't have to
There's
know.
like that. Yes. For example, the you're very correct, Aparna. So thanks for bringing that up. The West African tama drum. So you'll be seeing Masamba Diop. He has been featured. He's a featured musician in Black Panther, Marvel's Black Panther. So he's a featured musician. He will be performing live with us in Indira and also in Mysore. So I'm so excited about that. So the Tamar drumming is part of their tribe. So the Tamar drum is supposed to echo the human voice. And so so the culture that he's coming from, they use drumming to connect with everyone as a community right from childhood. And in fact, he's from a lineage of musicians what they call griot families. It's handed over from generation to generation. And so it's really an honor and pleasure to watch him connect with people just with that little tama drum. And you will also be, well, probably not surprised, but the tama, that word is similar to our dama, damaru. And then the form of the tama is also like Shiva, the damaru. And then we
That's
also say
interesting.
that syllables and words emanated from out of the damaru. Similarly, the tama is where they say the syllables and human voice emanated out of. So that's a lot of similarities. And then I also like, especially jokingly say when they have the dreads on their head, it's just like Shiva's tangled hair, right? That
Yeah.
Jatadhara. So there's so many similarities like that. And then in the rhythm, like you're mentioning, it's kind of innate within us. And that's how if you're able to recognize that we have an innate rhythm within us and at a certain frequency, we connect with the ecosystem and nature around us. And that's when we are able to experience a higher vibration through rhythm. And that's how a lot of human beings and even all living beings in general, they can relate to sound, rhythm, and movement.
So in the movement itself, have you what aspects of Indian dance
Yeah.
will be represented?
Yeah, so we have 4 dancers. So Kinnari is well versed in Bharatanatyam and contemporary, modern contemporary dance and Rajasthani folk dance.
Mhm.
So those 3. And then we have Leticia. She is well versed with flamenco dance. Flamenco rhythms where you will actually hear the rhythm through the shoes and also through the customs. And then you have Phaedra. She is well versed with the Middle Eastern dubki dancing. It's a type of it's a type of dance from the Middle East. And we have Lorena. She is really good with various types of Mexican folk rhythm. So you will see all of these 4 different dances. We have items that feature each of these, and also we have items where we have original music for all of these 4 dances coming together and all of the different forms of music coming together. So you will see both. Yeah, that will kind of showcase how we work together and also how we retain the roots from where we are from.
Yeah, and the music has this capacity to transport us back in time. And most of this music, they say, was, especially the rhythm and the drums and the music were a very inherent part of many festivals and
Correct.
rituals.
Yeah.
So, is this a way of also celebrating that aspect, even though we are not performing in those natural surroundings much?
Yeah.
But
That's a
the
great
sound
question.
is a kind of museum of that history too.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of, in fact, a lot of times when we play here in the park or near the beaches, it's like people just gather around us. Even in classes, we sit outside college campuses. And so whenever I do workshops, I encourage people to just sit on the ground because an aspect of most of our cultures, ours especially, we are encouraged to sit on the ground, like cross-legged, because that kind of helps us connect to the earth and be grounded. And similarly with other like the West African culture, they also do a lot of outdoor with nature. And then if you see flamenco, they do a lot of street art, street work as well. So a lot of this, it originally started with the gypsies, the flamenco music. So what we call, we're not supposed to refer them as gypsies, the Roma people. So, and even in the Middle Eastern culture where they do a lot of communal like gatherings where music is displayed. So all of this, even Mexican folk, there's a lot of street festivals that happen in Mexico. In fact, a couple of years ago, we were at Oaxaca and Wawapan, where we experienced how all of that is integrated into people's everyday life. So a lot of that spirit is, yes, you're correct. A lot of that spirit is melded into what we present. That's why we will be working with Udupa, Katam, Giridhar Udupa sir. So for not only for performance, but also to do some social work like this. And then I'm also working with some people in Chennai to see if we can do that kind of social work to bring different kids from different backgrounds together and see what we can do about it.
How lovely. And
It's
could you tell
fun.
us about, yeah, and to travel? It's like those olden days where, musicians used to travel like minstrels and enjoy the,
Yeah, yeah.
studying the
Yeah.
music.
I mean, not too long ago when I was a kid, when I had to transport the Veena, there was no foam bag, there was no hard case, there was nothing. Literally, my mom had stitched a little cloth cover for me,
Mhm.
and she had stitched my name in Sanskrit on that. And then so I had to wrap it around with, those days we used to get kambli, the rugs.
Mhm. Yeah.
So my mom helped me wrap it around, and that's how I used to transport it in an auto. And then this
Mhm.
part would stick out of the auto. And then so I had to keep my hand and then, shoo away the other car drivers and say, hey, wait, there's a Veena here. That's how you transport. And if it's a train, at least you could put it in a berth. There's no question of flying with a Veena at all.
Mhm.
So it was from those days, today we are all flying with hard cases. But local thing is, of course, we have these 21-seater buses now, so we're about a dozen artists and a couple of videographers and photographers that help us and tour manage. So it's really nice. We are managing our own tour, and then we were able to get some sponsors here. And then I wanted to mention Mid-Atlantic Arts Organization, which is where I won the grant. I won the National US Artist Grant. So it's probably the first time a Veena artist has won the grant. So I'm very thankful to Mid-Atlantic for recognizing our work.
So, it's such a beautiful coincidence. Your name, your instrument, your music all comes together. So, was that by some cosmic
I don't know, my mom. So my mom, she named me Saraswati and said, okay, go play the Veena. That's it. So she's a Veena artist, she's a vocalist, and she's a Bharatanatyam dancer. She had won a small Veena as a prize for her performance, and so that was a small Veena, and it could fit a 6-year-old. So she said, "Yeah, go." Well, she started teaching me when I was 6 years old, and then she put me on to other teachers, and so here I am. So I guess mothers know.
Absolutely. So how does what is the repertoire of the lyrics and the music? What what is the sahityam, and is it
Yeah.
when it's instrumental music? How do you choose themes? What is the you talk about unity, love, and no conflict, but musically, how do we represent this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it's not about absence of conflict, but rather finding ways to resolve. It's transcending our difference, kind of going beyond. So, but in terms of music, there are many ways it happens when we are together. So it's sometimes one of the ways is sometimes I play a scale like. So that's like Hamsadvani. So I play this to my my co-artist. So he would be like, okay, let me think of something in that scale. So and then so he thinks about something and he comes up with his own composition, where he comes up with a rhythm and a certain pattern, and then I compose a melody over that. So that's one way by which we come up with compositions, but there is no sahityam specifically. These are all instrumental pieces, and so Carlo Basili, he's the guitarist. He's a really good flamenco guitarist. I've been working with him for a long time, and he introduced me to a lot of other artists too. And then so we kind of mutually met so many, and that's how kind of we formed the band. But anyway, so some of the ragas I have taught Carlo, and he has learned some of these, and he tries to come up with rhythms and patterns, flamenco rhythms and patterns, and I compose melody over that. And then sometimes I come up with a melody, and he tries to find a way to get the chords for the specific melody that I come up with. So it's a combination like that. And then, for example, in Middle Eastern music, they have these gamakam notes like. So that's Hindu Bhairavi. For example, they have these tones. So they have these quarter tones, that's what they call them. So there's those types of intricate commonalities between Middle Eastern music, the maqam music, that's what they call it, and some of the gamakams that we do. So that's another way of kind of composing something together. And sometimes when we are together, things just happen. Somebody starts playing something and we start playing something, and before you know it, it becomes a composition. So a lot of instrumental music happens, and then because of the rhythm, so we have our Indian rhythm, obviously the mridangam. We are going to have one of the artists in Chennai, Sai Raghav. He has played with us here in the US too. So he will be on some of our performances. And then we have tabla, the nanjai. So we have some of the South Indian, North Indian rhythm going, and then we have the flamenco rhythm. Bob Garrett plays that. And so all of that coming together inspires the dancers to do their own choreography, original choreography. So it kind of, all of these ways we come up with original composition. Sometimes I have, sometimes there are folk tunes that inspire us. The traditional folk tunes or some shlokams, for example, Aigiri Nandini is a great inspiration. And then, or some folk like Bhagya, the Lakshmi Bara, so Devara Namas are an inspiration. So things like that. So I introduce them to these songs, and they introduce me to a lot of rhythm, rather their style of melody, their style of rhythm. So we kind of try to understand the differences, and then understand the commonalities. It's a language of its own, but it's all, there's also the personality differences too between the artists. So a lot of time there is challenges too. Hey, no, I can't do, no. There's also a lot of that. We have been able to, over the years, we've gotten to know one another better. And then, so when we know one another better, our music also gets better.
Yeah.
So that's how the journey has been so far. And it's
How do you transmit this to the larger society where we get children to get involved? Do you,
yeah,
your organization, does it promote this kind of a melting pot music?
yeah. So do if what I do is I have a not-for-profit organization that I started. So through that I teach Veena. I teach Carnatic Veena, I teach Carnatic vocal. So I teach traditional music, our traditional music. And so what I do along with that is I, if I may use the word, motivate and inspire my students to look at how our ragas and songs can actually be utilized as a vehicle to connect to people from other cultures. But we have to find a way to do it. For example, the very first time I did it, I had to find a way. I don't have to play the Western tunes or anything. We can do our own song that have an innate rhythm. For example, so when I'm doing a performance, for example, at a world music festival where it's just Carnatic music, I perform with Mridangam and Kanjira, traditional setting. And then I have performed at different folk festivals, Carnatic ragas, and with a couple thousand in the audience. What I do is I tell them about the song. I tell them about the larger intent of the song. For example, the Ragam Madhyamavati. What does it help us with? So Ragam Madhyamavati actually helps us with clarity. It helps us with, so when we get better clarity, it helps us more with decision making and making the right choices. And then, so why is that a ragam that has been used for Bhagya the Lakshmi Bharama? So Bhagya the Lakshmi Bharama, that song, the theme is about prosperity. But what kind of prosperity is it? Is it just wealth? No, we know about the Ashta Aishwaryam. I introduce them to something like that. So your health, your wealth, and your relationships. So all of those constitute prosperity. And then when that and this raga comes together, it takes us to a different level. So I explain the background, I explain the significance of that. And then I play it in such a way that they can follow along in class. So I tell them about the rhythm. So they can follow along. That's one way I get them to interact. And then the other way I do it is I make them sing. I make them sing swaras. For example, I say sa re ma pa, like that, and the audience really loves it.
Yeah.
And then there are songs where there are simple words where I sometimes play a bhajan, for example. Shankara, Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shankara, Shankara. And then I would teach them the words. They would sing Shankara, Shiva Shankara. Or just, teach them chorus lines. After I play something, they sing the chorus. And then I play something, they sing the chorus. So there's plenty of ways to make them interact. And then with rhythm, you can do so much with rhythm. You can make them recite Taditomnam, Takita. There's a lot of ways to do that. So with my team, with the percussion team like Mridangam and Kanjira, so Sai Raghavan and Swaminathan Selva Ganesh, I play with them a lot. So our Carnatic trio, we have a lot of interactive numbers that we do with the audience, and they get to know about ragas and talas, and also some significance of how all of these can transcend and connect. That's how I try to do it. It's an
Thank you so
ongoing
much.
process. I have
Yeah.
learned a lot.
It's really wonderful how music connects, uplifts, and year after year, moment after moment. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, and
Oh,
lovely connecting with you. And we hope to see you in Bangalore or Mysore when you're here for the tour. All the very best for that.
oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we are, if I may say something, we are Surabhi Ensemble. You can look us up on Instagram. Our handle is at Surabhi Ensemble. And if I can mention the names of the artists. So Carlo Basili is a Spanish flamenco guitarist. Ronnie Malley is the wonderful oud makam artist. And then Juan Diaz is our Mexican guitarist. And then Greg Nergard is our bassist. And then Bob Garrett is our world percussionist. And then Dhananjay Kunte is our tabla artist. And I think I mentioned the dancer Kinnari Vora, Lorena Iniguez, Leticia Arvina, and Phaedra Darwish, and Masamba Diop will be our Tama drummer from Dakar, Senegal. And then Sai Raghavan and Swaminathan Selva Ganesh, they will be our guests within India. So I'm really looking forward to our tour, and I'm very thankful to our sponsors and Mid-Atlantic Arts for sponsoring them. And I'm very thankful to Aparna and my friend Anupama for connecting me, making this connection happen.
Thank you. I have, I'm really, really crazy about music. I'll just stop the recording 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.